Israel here, and I thought I would share just a little bit about what's going on in my life right now. My husband and I own a building in Yukon, Oklahoma on Main Street on Route 66, and we decided that I would create a public workspace that I could use for doing workshops that are in small in scale. So it's not a big space, but it's a space that I can use, that I can put my things out, I can leave them here and not worry about them walking off. So if I do one workshop a month, a quarter, a week, whatever, all of my supplies would be available here. So I thought I'd kind of give you what's the beginnings of this new space so you can kind of see what's going on in my world and just see some of the things that I'm doing. So the first thing we've done was the floor was a dark blue gray commercial grade carpet that was really old. I think it's probably 15 years old, and it was going to cost a huge amount of money to replace the carpet in this area, and it's approximately 14 feet wide and 20 feet long, I believe. And then I also have other spaces here, but I'm just going to show part of the space today. And so we were trying to figure out what to do with the carpet, how to have good flooring, and my husband and I came up with the idea to paint it. And so what we did, or I did, actually I did it myself, is I purchased some flat wall paint, and I'll have some photos to kind of show you my progression here, that I use on the floor. It took 10 gallons and 4 coats of paint to get the white on the floor that I have. And then I have started painting flowers and dragonflies on here. So I'm going to change the camera around so you can see the floor. I'm also going to show you basically how wide this space is as well, as best as I can, because it's kind of hard to do. And I'll also paint a couple of the flowers on the floor so you can see what I'm doing. Well, this wall here, so far I have put in this little cabinet, and it has just below it, let me see if I can get the camera to tilt, a little cabinet that we don't get into the drawers very often, and it's mostly personal stuff for Henry, so I just covered it up. And then I have this 5-tier bookshelf over here that I've started to put a few things in, but I'm waiting until the floor is done. And so this is going to be my hat making session area. So if you can see there where I zoom in on these little cute hats, I have the ability to make those and show people how to make those and decorate them. So that's something that I'm going to offer in this space. So right now I'm standing into a doorway that leads into the kitchen in this space, and you can kind of see how this is looking. The glass doors over there is the front door, and then we have a big glass window. Right now there is a huge table there that's going to be pulled out into the middle of the room so we can use that as a workspace. And then you can see the carpet down there. And I'll give you another shot from the other side of the room as well. So this is standing at the front door. Those boxes that you see against that wall are going to be bookshelves, and I'm going to bring most, if not all, of my wood mount stamps, and they're going to be displayed on that wall. And then that doorway is the kitchen into the other room, which is quite messy. And then that dark area that you're seeing next to the kitchen, that's my sewing space that I use for doing public sewing, in a sense, when I do it for customers. And then this doorway is the doorway into my glass studio. That's where I do my hot glass. I have a kiln and a torch, and I work with glass, and there's even a window into that. So this is just another view of the room, and then I'll show you what the floor looks like while I'm painting. So I'm down on the floor, and it may not look like that one when I get done, but I'm going to paint a flower like that over here in a blank spot. I have a little tote here full of paint, and so that's where I'm going to draw all of my colors from. And then I have a little palette that I've put out a few colors, and I'm going to begin with the background of the flower. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm dipping my paintbrush in just a little bit of water, and then I'm going to grab a little of this dark purple and a black and start making the flower shape on the floor. Now, since I'm working on carpet, it's bumpy, and so it takes a little bit more paint than a flat surface like a canvas would. Alright, so now I've got the dark down. I'm going to go in and pick up some of the light pink and put that on top. I'm going back in with a little bit of the black just to kind of help define where the petals are. I'm going to pick up a little bit of some ivory or off-white and kind of blend that in as well. Alright, I'm going to clean out my brush and we're going to change colors. So I've just got a green paint that I'm putting in here, and I'm using a mix of paints. I've got some acrylic floor or acrylic craft paint. I have some master paints. I have some just all kinds of different things that I'm using. Now I'm going to go in and make leaves around the outside of this flower, and what I'm doing this is because I'm waiting for the inside to dry just a little bit before I put the yellow on. I'm going back over the top of the leaf with a little bit of white. Decided I wanted one more leaf. Okay, I'm going to let this dry for a little bit and then I'll come back and we'll do some more blending and adding the yellow, I think. Okay, so the paint is somewhat dry and I think I want a little bit more pink in here, so I'm just going to add a little bit more on the outside edges. I've changed the angle in which I'm going at this. I found a little stool so I don't have to sit on the floor. I think that works a lot better. Add a little bit of white in here. Alright, so I've got another paintbrush here and I've got some yellow paint. So I'm going to add some yellow paint to a palette. I think I'm just going to change palettes because I want to continue painting the rest of my floor and I don't want to wash my palette out. So I've wet my brush just a little bit in some water and I've got some yellow paint here. I'm just going to go in and dab right in the center, adding some yellow. And it's okay that the other color's kind of bleeding through because that's the way I've done it on my other flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dry. I think once it's dry, it'll be done. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I paint a dragonfly on the floor. So be right back. Well, now I'm ready to paint a dragonfly on the floor. And I've got some black, blue, and a bright aqua paint here. And what I'm going to do is I'll pick up, because my brush has already been dirty because I'm doing the others on the floor, I pick up just a little bit of the black and the blue, the darker blue. And I'm going to put a base down of those colors and then I'm going to paint on top of it. So I'm just going in and picking up a little bit of the black and a little bit of the blue. And it's making it a really dark, almost navy color. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is a stencil that I made on my Cricut. I used the same image for a stencil that I made for a dragonfly journal. I just made it bigger so that it would almost fill what could be cut on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So I guess this wingspan is probably right around 10 inches wide here. Alright, so now I've got down the black and the blue. That's my first layer. And sometimes I'll wait and I'll dry it and go to the next layer. Sometimes I won't. And that's what I've been doing today. I've just been painting the rest of the dragonflies so I can get it all done. So now I'm picking up the blue. I'm just going to go right on top. But trying to stay more in the center of the wings and the body, leaving a little bit of the other blue, the darker blue, to be able to shine through. Alright, and then once I've got that layer down, now I'm going to pick up some of this aqua and add some aqua here and there in the wings and the body. And then at this point, I take the stencil off, and since I'm filming, I'm going to dry it, and I'll come back and show you the last step that I'm going to do. So there it is with the stencil removed. Again, I was just using cheap acrylic craft paint, painting this guy in. And now I've got some Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist here. I'm trying to get it to focus. Or not Glimmer Mist, I've got Glam by Tattered Angel, and this one's called Nightfall, and it has a lot of glitter in it, and it's kind of a green tint, and it just reminds me of a dragonfly in the iridescent in it. So I made sure to shake it really good, and I've got a little brush here, and I'm just going to go in and add just a little bit here and there on this dragonfly. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's dry. Well, here's the finished dragonfly on the floor. I'll take some close-up photos of it so you can see those as well. And when I am finished getting the room set up, I will share that in just a little bit.
Of the space, Hercules is standing on the very dirty carpet. I cleaned it by vacuuming really well, moving all the furniture out except for that table because it was so huge, and ended up painting in sections. When I first started, I used a paintbrush on the floor back in the corner that was really dark just to see how it would look. And then I realized that it would be easier if I had a roller brush like you'd use on a wall or the ceiling, and that made it go so much faster using that roller brush. Again, I used 4 coats of paint, and I had to do it in sections because Henry used the area to get to the embroidery side because the back door, the path is through there. There's the paint that I use. Again, I used 2 5-gallon buckets of that. So here it is with the paint white almost done. And then I will start setting up to paint. You know, it took some time, probably, I think I spent 4 days and nights going up there, painting a section, waiting until it dried, come back to the next section. I had to barricade the area so that the dogs wouldn't walk through it. Hercules walked through and ended up leaving some footprints in some of the other areas. I also decided to paint the carpet going into my sewing area just to tie it together. And even though I don't have in this photos, I also painted the carpet, I would call it like a runner, from the main room here through my glass room to the back door. And I'll try to get some more photos of that later on, and I'll post them on my blog or Facebook. My goal is to have some workshops in this space. I've got a table that will seat 4 comfortably. It could put 6 around it, if possibly 8 with the additional table that I have in there. And I'm going to do things like greeting card classes. We're going to have probably some painting classes. We're going to have the hat making classes. We'll have some jewelry making as well. When you're looking in my room by the big window, the cabinets that are all the way over to the far right, that's going to be full of jewelry making supplies. I haven't decided what's going to be on the left-hand side. I've got my rubber stamps pretty much in place. I've got a few more that I need to move. I'm still trying to decide if I want to change the way they're stored and displayed as well. So that was kind of the progression of how I painted the dragonfly. Hercules made himself at home very quickly because he wanted up on the table, and I made a pillow for him. This is standing in my sewing room looking out into the main room. My sewing room area, I covered all the surfaces with some Paris-themed fabric so that it all matched, and that's something that started before I created the main bulk area. I also have a lot of things that I make and sell. So I have jewelry, I have altered dominoes, bottle cap necklaces, bracelets, greeting cards. I also have a lot of sewn items like cord covers and little makeup bags, that kind of stuff, as well as my junk journals. I really like how this space has turned out. I think I'll have a lot of fun with the workshops. That little cart that you see was my grandmother's tea cart, and I've moved it around. So you can see where I've painted the floor into my sewing area and some of my shelves and whatnot that I have in there. It's been a lot of fun to put this all together, and I hope that when people come, they enjoy the space too. I hope to have some sewing workshops as well, because I've had a lot of people ask how to sew and they have no idea. So this will help by having all this space here, and I won't have to have them in my home. We did replace the lights with some LED lights above, so it's really nice and bright in this room. I love it. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little scenes of seeing what I'm doing in my rooms and how I'm hoping to have some workshops in the near future. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Definitely check out my blog as well as my Facebook to find out about when I'm going to do my events really soon. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Have a fabulous day. Thanks. Bye.